What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here. And guys, we have some really crazy news in the game. I know some other content creators have already talked about it because they have some quicker ways of finding this information out. I kind of just have to rely on the in-game event calendar. But let's talk about the craziness that is coming this next weekend. And welcome back, guys. Thank you for stopping by the channel. Don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button. We're really trying to hit 5K this year. I'm pushing for it. I've decided to start dropping the sort of subscribe thing at the start of the videos instead of the end of the videos because I really want to try and make this sub push. I really didn't care about it too much before. I was dropping it because it's one of those things where you just kind of say, but I also know that a lot of you guys don't actually make it to the end of the video, and so you don't even hear me say like and subscribe, which I guess if you liked the content enough, you would subscribe anyways, but I'm deciding to drop it at the start of the video to maybe get a couple extra subscribers here or there. We'll see how it goes, but let's dive into this crazy banner that's coming up this weekend. Guys, I am really excited about this banner. It looks really good for a lot of different people, in particular me, because I love this champion that's coming to the game, which is Artemis. Guys, this champion looks so cool, and I love his design is amazing. I love this like witch hunter kind of vibe sort of thing that he's got going on. The what is it called, like the surge, this like, I don't know, some he look the witch doctor, you know. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I can't think of the name of it right now. Plague Doctor. There we go. The Plague Doctor vibe that he's got going on is just amazing. His gun looks so cool. I love sort of like sniper rifle-esque things. The skulls are cool. I just think he looks really awesome. And I think he's going to have a lot of really good viability in the game because he is a cultist, which is great because I have Morrigan. So amazing, right? But also he's a healer, which is really good in a lot of different ways. And he's a healer in a different kind of way, which I think is really awesome. And we're going to have a video talking about him specifically, so don't worry about that. We will dive into his kit specifically, but this banner is going to be very good for a lot of people. The reason I say that is because it has 3 champions that are very good in the game. 2 of them that are proven. One of them you get for free, one of them is very hard to get, and the other one is brand new, who's not 100% tested, at least by the global community, but has been shown to be very powerful on the Forerunner server and the test server by several other content creators. So I'm very excited to see what he can do for us. But the first person on this banner, guys, is Hotset, which, if you don't already know, Hotset is a game changer for almost every account. We do have some other champions that sort of fill her role as well. Like, we have Alora now, who kind of fills part of her role, but in my opinion, not all of it. I still think Hotset is better as a general champion. Alora is better in the Gear Raid 3 area because her invisible is basically permanent, right? You can choose when to pop it, which makes it a lot safer to use her on that right side of the field. But Hotset is better in almost every other regard, from my own personal experience at least. Hotset was one of the first legendaries that I pulled, and she literally changed the entire progression of my account. I devote almost all of the progression I made from the combination of getting Hotset and Setram on my account. Like, literally, those 2 champions completely game changed my entire progression. And I really think that Hotset is a fantastic champion. So if you are brand new to the game or still very early on, this is going to be a very good banner for you to pull on because Hotset is a ginormous champion. She also has some relatively good awakens. Specifically her A3, I think, is very powerful, getting that additional 10 seconds. Literally, like, is just so much better, right? It's very good because it allows her to stack up the attack bonus faster or more reliably over time. Like, if you're waiting on things to spawn, you can get the attack boost up a little bit more reliably, but also it just gives you more time to be in stealth, which is really good in some situations. Specifically in Gear Raid 3, it's really good allowing her to stay in that stealth for just a little bit longer, especially in my opinion, right? Because in my experience, she loses that stealth just a little too quickly on some of those stages. But also, her A5 is really good as well, right? This 1 extra second doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a 25% increase to the duration of her ultimate, which is, in my opinion, really powerful. The rest of her stuff is not that crazy, right? Flat attack, penetration's great. Soul drain damage, like, it's good, right? It's not bad, but I don't think it's super crazy, right? I mean, it's okay, but it's not crazy. But her A3, I think, is really powerful in some situations, and her A5 is a 25% increase on her ultimate, and her ultimate is very, very fast, right? Let's go look at her ult here. It's a very quick ultimate, right? It goes down to, let's see, what you get, -100 and -100, so it's a 700 cost ultimate, and she builds rage like nobody's business, guys. It's crazy. Highly recommend going for Hotsit, whether it's your first copy, your fourth copy, your seventh copy, whatever. Get her to A5. She's fantastic. If you're a whale, I love you for whaling on the game. Make it so Watcher of Realms can make more cool content. But Hotsit, great champion. Then, of course, like I said before, we have Artemis. I think he's going to be very good, very meta in a lot of places, especially with the potential stuff. I know it's still kind of undetermined, but the potential nerf to Boreas, if you don't have him already, or you have him but you haven't beaten Gear Raid 21, by the time that these nerfs come out, Artemis is going to be very powerful in Gear Raid 1 for allowing you to clear stage 21, because he also has anti-healing, and he also just does a pretty large chunk of damage, for being a healer. He's a pretty strong DPS, which is really, really nice. So I think he's going to be very good in that sense. I also think he's going to have some potential in a lot of other areas. Potentially a Mortal Codex he could do really, really well, right? Because you can see here, like, he's got some pretty interesting stuff when it comes to healing. Like here we have increased the healing received from Artemis's basic attack. Like, you can get a lot of healing out of this guy. I think he's going to be pretty good in these areas. But also, like I said, he does a good chunk of damage. Then we have the third champion. And to be honest, I think that this champion is probably the real reason to summon on this banner, which I know sounds kind of crazy because the legendaries are super good. But guys, Oleg is on this banner. Now, you get a free copy of Oleg if you didn't already know. If you're relatively new to the game, you get him for free from the Void Rift. But I have literally never gotten a pulled Oleg. Not a single one. I'll show you. I literally have one copy in my Oleg. Where are you, Oleg? And it's because I got an Oleg Soulstone this last week, or I think 2 weeks ago. Whenever it was in the shop, I think it was 2 weeks ago, right? That's the only reason I have him at A1. Other than that, I think his Awakens are very powerful. His A2 is A3, nothing crazy. A4 is pretty nice. All damage reductions 5% is pretty good. But then you have his A5, which is, in my opinion, one of the best epic A5s in the game, because it makes his ultimate reduce the physical damage of the to adjacent allies, right? Now, normally you don't use his ultimate, but this makes it so that his ultimate is actually viable to use in certain situations, and I think that that's pretty awesome because it makes him more versatile, right? Which I think is really powerful, because a lot of the times you stick him, you leave him alone, he does his thing, he never presses ultimate, but I think that this is potentially going to be beneficial in certain content, right? Like potentially Void Rift, where, someone's about to get through, so you have to use this ultimate, but then he's also going to increase the physical damage reduction of everyone around him. Could be very powerful. But at the very least, just getting the defense, HP, and damage reductions from his A2, 3, and 4 is also just good, because the more defense he has, the less damage he takes. The more HP he has, the bigger his health and his shield pool is. And then, of course, having extra damage reduction makes him just that much tankier. So I really do feel like this banner is going to be very good for a lot of people, specifically because of these three champions: Oleg, Hotset, and Artemis. Now, the question is are you going to summon? Should you summon? And in my opinion, I think it depends on where you are in the game, as well as what your goals are in the game. Now, in my personal opinion, I think I'm going to summon. And the reason I feel like I want to summon is because I really want to get a couple more copies of Oleg, and I think it is a possibility. The second reason is I have a hot sit, but I don't have any awakens on her. And I would really like to get a couple awakens on her to make her just that much more powerful. But also, I really, really want to get Artemis for several different reasons. The first reason is I am slightly concerned that if the Boreas nerfs go through, Boreas could potentially no longer be viable in my Gear Raid 121, even with the power of dominance. Now, that sounds probably kind of crazy, but I have seen a lot of games, and I haven't looked into these nerfs, so I don't really know how bad it's going to be, but I've seen a lot of the titles of videos and thumbnails and stuff, and it looks like it could be potentially very bad. Of course, I know clickbait is a thing, but either way, I think having Artemis as a just guaranteed extra backup person for Gear Raid 1 is going to be very powerful. It also means that I have another champion going forward if they decide to release stages 22 through 30, for example, over the next several years. So I think it's good to have him on your roster. The next reason is he's a healer, and Immortal Codex has a healing codex, and I don't have a crazy amount of healers that are very powerful, and I think Artemis could be potentially very good here. The reason is because he gives rage, right? When healing applies, allies applied with blood craving restores rage. This could be potentially very good in certain situations, right? Because he periodically locks onto allies excluding the hero and throws sanguine toxin on them. When hitting a target, applies blood craving to nearby allies and heals them with a 120% healing multiplier. If all of your healers are stacked up like they are pretty reliably in the Immortal Codex, all of them are going to get this blood craving, which means you could get a very large percent of rage added on over time. Very similar to, for example, your Hollow when she's healing, or your Elowen for being just passively on the field. So I think there's a good potential that he could do some really good things in there. But also, I have a feeling that we're kind of moving into a little bit of a meta where the champions that we pull are going to be very good in future content. Not to the point of, they're the only champion that makes it possible, but just the fact that they're very, very good. And we'll have to see if that works out, but I do think that it is a very good potential. And so because of that, I think sort of proofing myself to get myself an Artemis, or at least try to get myself an Artemis, is going to be really awesome. But also at the same time, I just want Artemis. I think he looks really cool, and I really just want to have him on my account because he looks awesome. And that's kind of the main thing. I love his kit. I love his design. I think he's going to be really fun to play. And that's the main reason why I am going to be summoning. Now, whether you are going to summon or not, that is up to you. I do think, like I said, it depends on where you are in the game, whether or not you're going to summon for it. But I do think it is a worthy thing to do, even if you're just putting a couple divine summonings into the event, just to see if you can get lucky and get an Oleg or two. And if you hit that legendary, maybe you get lucky and get the Artemis or the hot set for your account. Either way, I think it is a worth banner to pull at least a little bit. Maybe don't go really, really hard, but be specific about how many you're going to pull ahead of time. Say, I'm going to pull 2 10 pulls and be done whether you get it or not. Either way, guys, like I said at the start of the video, if you liked this video and you like my content, don't forget to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit that 5K, like I said at the beginning of the video. And also leave a comment down below in the comments about whether you are going to summon for Hotset, Artemis, and Oleg on the coming banner this week. That's going to be it for me today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.